when you first got the opportunity, or you knew you had an opportunity to play George Foreman, you thought what?
It's a huge responsibility. I mean, I was a little nervous because I didn't want to mess it up, you know. And we're talking about not just somebody who you're doing a biopic about. You're talking about an icon over the span of several different generations. And he's not just the grill guy. He's got a huge fight legacy, you know. And then I had no idea when I came into the job that he had a religious background, a religious part of his life. That's a lot to cover.
Yeah.
And we're going to cover the span of several decades.
Yes.
So how do I do it, right? And you get it, and you don't really know how you're going to go about it, but you just start eating the elephant one bite at a time.
And what'd you learn?
I learned everything about Mr. Foreman. When I first got the script, what I knew about him was that he was the grill guy, and he was the guy who lost to Ali. That's about as far as it went. You know? So.
And by the way, I totally get that. How old are you?
I mean, I don't want to say.
But you're a young man.
I'm not old enough to remember his first career. And
I'm 53, and it's it's kind of hazy in my head too.
Yeah,
Chris,
so going back and reading his autobiographies and watching as much footage on him as I could, it was all so eye-opening to me who he was, because I did, as a fight fan, always wonder when I was watching that Rumbling in the Jungle, who that guy was, right? I had my own feelings about the fight, you know, in regards to what the ref was doing or wasn't doing.
Right.
And I was curious. So having the opportunity to go back and dig deep on who this guy was, man, I was floored by his experience in life, you know.
How much were you exposed to the real George Foreman? How much contact did you have with
so
George?
I went and I met him.
Okay.
Yeah, and I spent 3 days in Houston with him, which is incredible.
You go to his house?
So I had gone down there because, you know, I had seen so much film. I had read the autobiographies.
Yeah.
But we're not doing a movie about interviews. You know what I mean? If we're going to do just a bunch of vignettes of Mr. Foreman's interviews, then fine. Then maybe I don't need to talk to him. But we're not. We're doing a movie about his personal experience, his human experience.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go meet him, you know, not to extract anything else from him other than what his natural state of being was.
And so what happened?
I wrote down a whole bunch of questions.
You wrote them down?
I wrote down, you know, I'm not a media guy, but I knew that I had to ask him something.
Right.
Man, I had all these questions. I got in front of Mr. Foreman, and all I could do was stare at the guy. That's all I could do was stare at the guy, because I couldn't believe that I'm actually sitting in front of Mr. George Foreman.
Right.
The legacy that he had, you know, as a fighter. I had read his books. Now I know.
Yes.
Now I know who he is, what he's done. Man, I couldn't talk. And something in the back of my mind was like, Chris, ask him a question. I was, Mr. Foreman, and I'm trying to ask him these questions, but I couldn't. And I'm just watching him talk, and he's trying to find things to keep saying to me. And really, I listened back to some of the tape, right?
Yeah.
And I had like this high-pitched tone as I was talking to him. Like, so yeah, Mr. Foreman. So I don't know where that came from.
Did he think you were doing the Tyson movie instead?
I don't know, man. But I didn't know that I was doing that. But maybe that was my nerves, or maybe I was just overthinking that. I didn't want him to think that I was some corny dude who was gonna take on his life story, because I wanted him to know more than anything that I was serious, and that I was going to treat it with as much care and delicacy as I possibly could.
Because you had to think he's sizing you up, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was wild.
All right. Now I'm mandated to ask you, did he cook you something on the grill?
No, he did not. No, he did not.
Because I would have walked in there, okay, where's the grill?
Where's the grill?
Where's the grill?
Actually, I didn't want to ask him about the grill.
Because
I didn't want to ask him any, like...
Because it's too unserious.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, and I really wanted him to know that I was taking it serious.
Yes.
And I wanted him to take me serious, as well as somebody who's going to be doing my job, the job. So I didn't want to, yeah.
I get it. I'm just an unserious person.
No.
I'm just being an unserious person with you. But because again, he is, it's pop culture, right? It's more than just a fight game with him.
Right.
He's a total pop culture icon in many
Absolutely.
ways. Certainly when he comes back and then he does it again. I mean, the oldest, or the most aged heavyweight champion in the whole.
Come back and do it.
Right, to ever do it.
I mean, I don't think when you hear it, right? And unless you're 35, let's say 35.
Yeah.
And you think about sitting at home, you haven't played a sport
Yes.
since you were in your 20s, and you're 35 now, and you say to yourself, I'm gonna go and be a pro.
Yeah.
At this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like sitting in the house, I played football years ago growing up.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like me sitting in the house saying, hey, you know what? I think I'm gonna go to the combine. I think I'm gonna be in the NFL. I want to do it. God told me
Yes.
that I'm gonna go to the NFL and be a top tier tight end.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's nuts. And he did that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that people need to understand just how miraculous this dude's story is. I mean, even winning the gold medal at the 68 Olympics, you're talking about a kid who never gloved up before. Now, we know fighting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never gloved up before. From the first day he put gloves on and sparred, a year later, he won gold at the Olympics.
Unbelievable.
Come on, man. That's an impossibility. That's
is.
an impossibility, for real. Sure, you work hard, you become heavyweight champ, right? There's a lot of work that goes into that. You can't take that away from him. But he did have these really miraculous, and it's in the story title for that reason, really miraculous moments that are rather impossible in any other circumstance.
Yeah. Big George Foreman in theaters near you exclusively this Friday. The man who plays George Foreman, Khris Davis, is here on the Rich Eisen Show. What was it? I mean, you were talking about the moment you meet George Foreman. What about hearing that Forest Whitaker is going to be in this film? What about that one for you?
That one was a big one for me because, I grew up watching Mr. Whitaker.
Sure.
Grew up respecting his legacy as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt humbled because, he came into this job, in a sense, kind of to uplift not just Mr. Foreman's legacy and things like that, but he was there uplifting me, and he didn't have to do that.
How do you do that? What do you mean?
Well, he's Mr. Whitaker. He should be number one on the call sheet. And I'm number one on the call sheet. Man, what a grace to be able to come in and just say, I'm going to do this and support this young actor. Come on, man. I didn't take that for granted. So I wanted him also to know that I was serious and that I wanted to show up for him too.
Yes.
When we were doing our scenes. So I didn't want him to feel like he had to pick up my slack or anything. I wanted him to know that I'm able to hold my own so that you can continue to shine as Mr. Whitaker and that that we can do this together as a team. I wanted to be a proper teammate for Mr. Whitaker. I didn't want him to ever doubt that I wasn't showing up.
Did you ever communicate that to him, or you just did it with your work?
I told him thank you.
You did?
Yeah, I told him thank you immediately. I told him that because I needed him to know that I wasn't just walking in there feeling like, I'm the man and you here busting it down
right
behind me. Never that.
You didn't call him old like Dylan
I didn't
Brooks
call
to
him
LeBron.
old, no sir.
Okay.
No sir. Well, he did tell me to not call him Mr. Whitaker, so I apologize. I apologize for it. I said it.
You did call him Mr. Whitaker on the set?
Yeah, man. Yeah, because I wanted to show deference. He put in 40 years.
Yes.
In the game. That's deference. I got to show deference to that. That's earned. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Same thing with Mr. Foreman. I'm not going to walk around calling him George Foreman. We didn't go to high school together. That's not my elementary school buddy. You know what I mean? I got to show some deference.
We go to high school together.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.